Hey, welcome to the show. We've got a banger for you today. Introducing, in the left corner, we have got the Asian sensation, the little Japanese samurai. Hey-ya, he-sha. She's a Christian, born-again Christian woman wearing a long dress and very conservative clothing, minus the arms, minus the... I don't know. I guess not really. Anyway, here we go. She is weighing in at a whopping 125 pounds on a good day. She is 5'1", also on a good day. Long black Japanese hair, big thick eyebrows that I would kill for. She's my wife. She's Jennifer Thompson. Okay, to her right.
Do you want me to do you?
Oh, yeah. Do
No,
me.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Do me.
No,
Do it. Start like this. In the right corner.
Okay. In the right corner.
You could do it.
Okay.
She's frozen. In the right corner, we have the Italian stallion, number 77 for the Blue Water Hawks, circa 2013. 130 pounds on a great day. 5'2". Okay, that's a lie. 5 feet tall. Loves that cow. Loves her little cow. Too much to kill it. Jessica Marucci. We might cut that.
You did a really good job. That was really
We
good.
might cut that.
That was really good.
I do love that cow too much to fucking kill it. Son of a bitch. Because I could use the ground beef.
I know.
We could really use that ground beef with the price of beef today. So,
Also, I'm not a born again Christian.
yeah, I know. The cross was sticking out and I was at a loss for words. And
I guess that is confusing for a lot of people. Yeah.
it is. And it's what, like, I feel like commentators do is they, like, look at things to,
Describe.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just, like, trying to, like, pick anything that you can see. And then I saw, like, the long dress and the Christian cross, and it just seemed, like, kind of Mennonite-y, and that's kind of where
Kind of Mennonite peasant boho.
yeah, something
All the
like
things wrapped in with my cross.
that. And your tattoo, your sleeve. I know. Just throws things off even more.
It's even more confusing when I wear my own necklace.
Oh, yeah. That day we were out recently, and someone said, I love your necklace, and I was like, which one?
Yeah.
Like, are you referring to the Christian?
Yeah. Christian or Buddhism? Which
one? Anyway.
We got
So-
an interesting topic, eh?
Well, I mean, we were going to it's been something I love discussing this topic because I don't understand why people get so I do understand, but so that's why I love the topic because people squirm, people that are pro-abortion have no problem saying that they're pro-abortion until you want to get into a debate with them. And then when you get into a debate with them about why should it be legal, once they've said a couple things, like they've got a couple things they can say, and then after that, they have no leg to stand on. The argument gets pretty thin pretty quickly. So I like to discuss it just because, you know.
Well, it's healthy to have mind-opening and controversial conversations without anger, without heated fighting. Like we can become passionate about what we're speaking about. But I mean, I remember being in university at King's College, and there was a debate on abortion versus not aborting, and I just was sitting in the room with two sides, a complete division, complete opposition, and people are yelling at each other. And I just thought, how come we can't have? Remember the debate teams in high school?
Yeah.
Like you take your turn, you show respect, and you can have discourse without all the heated emotion involved.
So what was it in a class? Also, can you do me a favor? Your lamp is off behind you. I think that's going to bother you in the future. Like,
What do you mean?
it's like knocked.
Oh, it's on an angle. Okay.
Yeah,
there
there
you
you
go.
Was it like a class, or was it just like a debate that you happened to walk in on?
Yeah, no, it was like an event, a debate. They had a couple guests to come and speak, and students could go and listen. But people in the audience were standing up and yelling at each other, and yelling and fighting. Like there was, like at one point, I remember, I think they were going to shut it down because people were getting too.
Really?
Yeah, it got out of hand. And I just sat there quietly because I just thought, this is weird. Why are we why can't we have a conversation? Why can't I hear all the information?
If you don't mind me, I'm not trying to prompt you to say one thing or the other, but would you happen to remember which side was like more disrespectful than the other?
To be honest, it was, I just, from what I remember, it was on both sides. There was just a lot of anger and rage and fighting on both sides. And I think that's a big part of the problem, is that there's so much disunity, there's so much division and polarization that we can't come together and have conversation and hear all the information with an open mind. That's how we change our perspective. That's how we grow as humans, is to be able to have an open mind to hear more things and to be able to digest more information. And that can also shift our perspective of how we view things, which is also how we evolve as humanity. So if we are just so black and white on issues, we're never going to come together.
Well, it's interesting that you would say that, because I don't know if this is like a good segue for me, but personally, like, I'm really interested in American politics, and because I do think it affects us. And so we watched the Trump and Biden debate, and abortion was brought up briefly. And then, as most of you would know, Robert F. Kennedy, who wanted to be part of the debate, wasn't part of the debate because of his numbers being too low, which Trump handedly pointed out, which was really funny. But anyway, I've been listening to him do, he's been doing a bunch of interviews, and recently he was on the Sean Ryan show. Did you hear that one? Anyway, we were listening to, I was listening to that one, and he specifically asks RFK about his stance on abortion. And RFK is like, he doesn't want to get into it, but Sean Ryan pushes him into going into it a bit. And he was like, okay, look, he goes, up until recently, my stance on abortion was I was pro-abortion. And he was like, I still am pro-abortion. He said, but when we take the time to have discourse and talk to other people, we may learn other information that we didn't really know.
Right.
And I actually have a feeling that that's how most people are with abortion. I don't think that most people with abortion in the topic of abortion understand that in Canada and a large number of of states in the United States allow unlimited termed abortions. So, and there's even a couple of states in the US that allow post-birth abortion, which is horrific, which means that you can have a live birth and at the time of the birth not know whether you wanted to keep it or not, and the doctor will literally put it aside. That's what they say. That's the term of it. Put it aside and determine what you're going to do with it. So I don't know if that means for the first, let's say, 2 hours of that baby's life, is it just sitting in a cold, like on a cold table type, the little thing that they put the newborn babies in? Is it just sitting in that? No one's attending to it. It's just screaming. And then the mom decides, yeah, let's fucking chop it into pieces. And because that's what happens, people. Or is it that the mother decides, yes. Or is it that the mother decides, actually, I'm going to keep it. So now we've had these 2 hours of very crucial bonding time, feeding time, connection, safety. The baby is now inevitably, that's a trauma that is never going to heal.
Wow.
So anyway, that's my thing, is I don't think that people understand that that's possible. Okay? They actually, majority of people don't understand it. And so when RFK is deciding he's going to run for president, all of a sudden he's asked all these questions. Someone else asked him about his issue, his stance on trans, and he said, that's just a topic I don't know enough about, so I can't comment. And the person asking him said, look, That's not an answer. This is an issue that's plaguing our country right now, and you need to have a stance on this. Absolutely, fundamentally. So he has to go and do his research. He comes back and does his research. Now all of a sudden, it's not that he's anti-gay or trans, it's that after he's done the research, he knows puberty blockers and sex operations are not healthy for children. Plain and simple. So now
Right.
that's his stance, okay? So same with abortion. So he goes back to the drawing board, does his research, comes back, and he says, so Sean Ryan asks him, and he says, I don't really want to talk about it. And he says, well, we have to talk about it. And he said, okay, look, like my stance has changed. I am still pro-abortion. I think it should be a woman's right, but I didn't realize that we were allowing abortions after birth and late term, and I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. He said that should there be a medical issue, which is how I feel as well, should there be a medical issue with the baby or with the mother, late term, and it's unsafe to continue the pregnancy, of course I'm not going to disagree with that. But if I broke up with my boyfriend last month and I just decide that I don't want to have this baby alone, things are too chaotic in my life, I want to kill it, no. I'm sorry, but no. It's just a hard no.
I don't think a lot of people understand what goes into what an abortion actually looks like, and especially a late term abortion.
Yeah.
And I think that has to be part of the conversation.
Yeah. Like a late term abortion, they can't even do it in one shot because it's a complicated procedure. They have to do it in, is it 3 stages?
Yeah, and there's 3 stages. Laura just shared the abortion access in the United States based off of each state, when they're allowed to abort up until a certain time. So in several states, you can do an abortion up to 20 to 26 weeks. In one state, you can go up to the 3rd trimester. And in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, is that 10? 10 states, there's no restrictions based on gestational duration.
Crazy.
So
Crazy.
right to the very end, you can abort.
Crazy.
So in Canada, we don't have
term limits.
Term
it's the
limits.
Same thing. It can be anything you want. Day before.
I don't think people understand the amount of trauma that has on the mother going through emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, the impacts of an abortion. It can last a lifetime.
I think that's a whole, I think we need to talk about that in itself, because I think that's something that women, I've only ever had one woman openly tell me that they've had an abortion and that they were lied to about
The process.
the process, not like the process, but maybe like some aspects of the procedure and certainly the aftermath. This is something that haunts this woman, and I know from reading that it haunts any woman who's not a psychopath. So if you're one of these, you see them on Instagram reels, they're these they're at pro-life protests, and they're I saw this one where there was this woman who was screaming she's had, 17 abortions and she'll keep killing more babies and she'll keep having them, and how her eyes look and how she's saying it, she's obviously not mentally well.
She's not well.
So I don't think any woman who's mentally well would ever say anything like that. I just don't think that women are able to discuss the abortion because it's so fucking taboo that they can't talk about it. They won't talk about it. But they don't feel good about it. It fucking haunts them.
I know many women who have had abortions, many women that have had abortions that are still trying to recover from not only the procedure, but the emotional piece of feeling guilt of feeling shame, feeling embarrassed.
How do you get those women to talk about that like publicly? Because don't you think that would make a huge difference in the world if women who have had abortions came out and said, look, it's like drug addicts, like recovering addicts that want to come out and talk to other people that are using, and they're like, look, you do not want to go down this road. I have been down here. You do not want to do this.
Part of healing can be changing our story. You know, like somebody who's had addiction issues, they're filled with shame and guilt, so much that they don't want to talk about their past.
Right.
But the more that we change our narrative and we can change that story to be empowering rather than disempowering, something you want to hide, there is power in learning to speak about that more openly, about the trials and tribulations that brought into your life and how you have learned to grow from it. Because they're all opportunities on growing.
Yeah.
They're all...
Or women could be also honest and be honest about how it was probably one of the biggest mistakes, if not, I'm sorry, the biggest mistake they've ever made. Like, it's great to grow and learn, and I don't dispute what you're saying, but I also think that women have to stop being fucking ridiculous about this topic and pretending that it didn't affect them.
Oh, and it does. How can this is a major procedure and a major moral decision that you're making. Right. And when you go against your own moral compass, you have to live with that. And that's part of the learning that I'm trying to explain is that part of learning when we violate our own moral compass, we have to go through all the emotions in order to move through that, in order to free ourselves from the pain that we endured. It's not an easy process, and that's why many women don't speak about it. And because we've made it so normalized in our society that it's just a procedure.
Is it like men and women coming back from war, right? Is it like that where you just, you know, that's what you signed up for? So I'm not going to come home and cry about it. Is it kind of like that?
I guess there's for that would make sense. There's definitely a component to that because it was your choice.
Right. You did it. Suck it up. We're not going to and also it's kind of like also like the vaccine and stuff like that, where you're just, you made that choice. So now you're on that team and you're going to fucking go with that team. No matter what that camp does and says, you're on that side. And you're not going to sit there and be like, no, it affected me negatively and it was horrible, because then that would be going against everything that your side stands for.
Well, there would be definitely some cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
With that decision too, just like the vaccines, you know, where people did something that they thought was right, and the story of what's right, and this is, you know, I should, and it makes sense, and you know, everybody's saying it's okay.
Well, and not to mention that no women are talking about the pain of it. So after they have it and they feel that way, do you think any of them are thinking, is this just me? Because I'm not reading about this. I'm not seeing this. I'm seeing women being very pro-abortion. So is this a me thing?
Right, because that's what's normalized in our society. Right. So then there's shame or discomfort in having a voice that is alternative.
Different.
Just like anything we've gone through the past few years, if you have a voice that is opposing or alternative compared to the mainstream narrative, you're canceled, you're ostracized.
Yep.
Right? So the amount of courage it takes to be able to stand in your own truth and to speak up, regardless of how uncomfortable it makes other people feel, is a true testament to your own healing journey and integrity within yourself.
It's true. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because anybody that came out and said anything about, I had a vaccine and I'm injured, they were laughed at. Right? Same thing. Right. If you got you couldn't be vaccinated and come out and say, I made a mistake. You're kind of starting to hear that now, but not really. There should be 80% of people that took the vaccine, 80% of Canadians that should be like, I fucked up.
I think there's quite a bit of people that are acknowledging that. But again, that's only when people have the ability to, and open-minded enough to be able to see things for what they are.
Well, I wonder if any women now are having that with abortion now that it's so stirred up lately. Like, I wonder if there's women who did it who are like watching all of this rhetoric happen right now and they're like, God, this is so fucked. this is wrong. Like, I wish I see the other side of it now. I see that conservative, Republican, whatever side of the argument now, and
Right.
take parties out of it. I see the pro-life side of it now. I see the effect that had on my life.
I can understand and appreciate the impacts of this major decision, the impact on me, the impact on my timeline, where I'm going in my life. And again, like really the decision should also be coming from your own moral compass. It should be coming
Right.
from does this feel right or does this feel wrong, instead of all the program thinking about, no, it's okay. It's okay. Lots of women do it. It's okay.
Yeah. And there's something I want to bring up too, and just so I don't forget to talk about it later, because what you said just made me think of it, is the men on the other side of it. So of course there's like, I feel like men got a lot of the earlier bad rap of abortion. Like, the men, like you hear with like Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake, like he made me have an abortion, right? Like you hear about that side of it a lot, but it's not very often that you hear of the other side of it, which is the men that don't want to have the abortion. And I have to tell you guys, the listeners might be shocked to hear this, but you should look this up. There's a lot more men that oppose the abortion than you think of. Like this is happening in large numbers, where you're having men that don't want to have the abortion, that want to have the child, and the woman is not giving them the right. And Dave Chappelle has a really funny joke about this, and it's basically like, if it's the woman's body and the woman's choice, and she chooses to have the baby, his thing is, then I should be able to choose if I want to pay for it or not.
Right.
And I mean, it's kind of like, when you sit back and look at it, I mean, I don't know, like, I mean, it took two people to make that child. One person isn't on the same page as the other person. One gets to make the ultimate decision. Should that other one pay for it as well? I mean, I'm not saying yes or no. I'm just simply saying it's an interesting question to ponder.
It is.
And one that I think we should spend time pondering, because there's two sides to everything. It takes two to tango. And the other side of it is, aside from the men, which I want to get into, is, I just lost my train of thought, so we'll get into the men.
I guess a key thing to remember for anyone listening, that if you're triggered or if something is initiated within inside you that makes you feel uncomfortable or agitated or angry, that's an opportunity to learn and say, well, why am I uncomfortable by this? Right? Like, these conversations make people very uncomfortable. And we have to ask ourselves, why is this so challenging to hear? Why can't I hear this information without a reaction? So it's just an opportunity to learn more about yourself and to do that self-reflection piece rather than project it right away. Because when people get agitated or angry by what somebody else is saying, remember that we're mirrors of each other. And if I can't sit in my own discomfort and question why I'm getting uncomfortable right now, I'm going to project it back at you with more anger.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. And I think that's probably what there's certain people that are doing that right now too.
Yeah, and I think that's what a big part of this polarization of our society is all about. Same with the election, this like the same kind of conversations, the same kind of questions that are being asked, not the more open-ended questions to say, let's have a conversation, because there's more involved in rather just I'm pro or I'm anti.
Yeah.
It's not a black and white situation. There's actually a lot more involved. I mean, for a lot of people, it can be black and white, especially if you're probably very religious in that sense of that really strong moral compass.
I think that's where my issue, not issue, but my issue lies, is I was raised Roman Catholic.
Right.
So abortion was the worst thing you could do. And then I do have to think of those teachings. Like, was it so wrong to think that you shouldn't have sex until you're ready to be a parent? Why was that such a bad idea? Like, let me reflect on that. To my friend in grade 9 or 10, you know who you are, that had an abortion, was that, which is what changed my life, which scared nothing. No, I didn't have sex till I was 21 years old, because that terrified me. We were all Catholic, and she didn't want to tell her parents, so she had an abortion. And
wow,
would it have just been maybe it would have just been better not to have sex, because I didn't have a teenage pregnancy. Not because I didn't have a boyfriend. I mean, there was stages of my teenage years where I couldn't get a boyfriend. But but when I went through my lesbian stage but didn't know I was a lesbian stage, those were a rough couple years, but I had some good years in there, and I never had a teenage pregnancy because I didn't have sex. I mean, that was just my moral compass. Like, I did not want to have an abortion. And I was not going to be having a child at 15 and raising it.
Yeah.
So was the teachings of the Catholic Church of not having sex before marriage, maybe that's unrealistic. But
There is more morality in the conversations in the Catholic system. Those conversations are part of it, whereas in the public system, it's very different.
yeah, like, we can, for those listening that are like not religious and especially not Catholic, that's fine. You don't have to diss it though. Like, we know the negatives of it. Like, hi, I was raised in it. I know a lot of the negatives of it. A, being gay, and that being part of, some of my struggles, not thinking that that's what was allowed. So I'm not looking for people to, to have a debate over the rights and wrongs of the Catholic Church and the teachings, but I'm just saying that one teaching in particular might have been valuable.
Right.
Because it certainly stopped me. Literally. That stopped me from having sex as a teenager. Not wanting to have an abortion. Like, I mean, it was a very traumatizing situation. So I just wonder, like, maybe is that where we've gone wrong in this society of, we've talked about this before, but in the feminist movement of everybody feeling like they have to fuck everything that they see from ages 15 to 30, and then maybe you can consider settling down after you're a disgusting mess who's had sex with X number of people. Like, and I'm raising my own hand here.
Me too.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
Or I should say 21 to
But
29.
I mean, I wasn't raised with any. Like, I grew up in the public school system, and I grew up with a father who was atheist. So we didn't grow up with religious teachings necessarily. I mean, I did go to a Japanese church, but I didn't speak Japanese. I just colored because I didn't know what was going on. But on my father's side, his parents were Christian, but I never really understood. I wasn't taught any of those moral teachings. It wasn't until later in my life where I really started to dive deeper into my own spiritual journey with the Yoga Sutras, and eventually learning more around the Eightfold Path, which is kind of similar to like the Ten Commandments.
But there's only 8?
The Eightfold Path is looking at basically how to live a life to work towards Dharma.
Yeah,
So
can you pull up 10 Commandments and the
Eightfold Path.
Eightfold Path?
They're not like exactly the same
That's okay.
by any
Just
stretch,
curious
but
to see about the similarities of them.
the Eightfold Path had its teachings around right speech, right thought, mastering your senses, and taking away the ability to, basically to live a pure life.
You can just read them. What's the 8?
Well, I did pull up the Ten Commandments, focus on the moral conduct towards God. You shall have no other God before me, and others, blah, blah, like honor your father and mother. And then the Eightfold Path emphasizes...
Wait, no. Go all 10.
Oh, okay. I'll pull up the 10.
Yeah, I want to hear all 10.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord
in vain.
thy God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Honor thy father and mother. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. And thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. And then the...
Do you guys know what that is? That's keeping up with the Joneses, motherfuckers, and you're all doing that. We're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of it in some degree. But, like, that's something that...
That's the material world,
Man,
right? That's
like,
a deep program of
100%.
Yeah.
And I have... God love me. I have worked so hard on this one. Like, God help me. I've worked on that so hard. I have.
I know, it's
and I
good.
don't like. I don't have that. Like there's always going to be things that you want. Like I Gladiator. Like God, I love Jeep Gladiator, but like, but I'm like so grateful that I have a beautiful Rubicon, right? And I see that and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. Like I love what I have, and it's just something that maybe, you know, you can still think things are great and like them, but I don't envy that anymore. Like I don't chase that like I once did in my past.
I think that's also why we left suburban living, is that everybody, it's like a hive mentality of keeping up with the Joneses of, oh, look at their lawn, or, oh, they got this new car, or look, right? That it perpetuates the material world of needing more, getting the next new thing, buying.
Yeah. Okay, what's the eightfold?
The Noble Eightfold Path: right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration.
So, I mean, really, if you could equate that to being very similar, it's like, right? I mean, it's basically try and get up every day and do the right thing. So the right thing isn't to covet thy neighbor's house. It's not to covet thy neighbor's wife. It's not to steal. It's not to kill. So, I mean, basically you're living by the same principles minus the 10 commandments are a bit more like specified, I'll say. But not, in my opinion, which of course we know is right, they don't seem like all that bad of rules to live by. And if everybody in this world lived by those rules, I feel like we wouldn't have...
There would be no harm onto others.
Yeah, it'd be a lot different.
Because we learn to master ourselves in a way that is non-violent, and that we're not spewing and projecting and pouring our pain onto others. Right? If we grew up more with these moral compasses, then would we be in positions of such polarization?
That's really interesting. When you, really, if you unpack that and you just think about like every single person, if they got up every day and had those moral guidelines to go by,
right?
And even if they were like 80%, you know, everyone just 80% tried really hard, 80%. Just imagine what the world would look like.
Right.
Just imagine that.
Yeah.
If everybody got up and focused on themselves and mastering themselves and being a good person instead of serving in a gang, in a criminal, you know, enterprise, you know, in a government criminal enterprise, whatever it might be. If you just got up every day and just thought, I want to do the right thing. Because, I mean, that's how we live.
Right.
We don't get up every day. We've had some issues arise lately in our personal lives, and we've done everything that we can do to go the moral high road and try to be the best people possible when dealing with the situation at hand. And when you want to be really gritty and low and disrespectful and rude and hurt back, I'll say, is trying to pull back and not. You're not perfect, but you're trying to not hurt. You're trying to say the right thing. You're trying to do the right thing.
There's good intention behind our actions and our words.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but it's an ongoing practice. But
but one of those 10 commandments was thou shalt not kill. So and if the eightfold path, do right. Everyone listening, come on, give me a fucking break. Search deep down in your fucking soul and ask yourself, is it right to murder an unborn child inside of a mother? Just ask yourself the question. It can't be yes.
Well, I think the counter arguments are, what about incest? What about a situation of rape? Or what if the mother is a medical issue?
As Donald Trump said, I don't have any issues with any of those reasons.
Yep.
Okay? So if if it's a horrifying situation for a young girl, if it's a situation where the baby isn't viable and the mother's life is at risk, like, I'm not retarded. Those are situations where it's something's gone wrong. It happens, genetics, there's things that happen. I'm not a cruel person. God, it's such a heartbreaking thing because you do think of, like, we've all seen babies born As a mother, I'll cry right now. As a mother, I'll cry. Just thinking about, you've seen the babies that are born with deformities or with health issues, where they have like organs outside of their bodies, or like there's horrible things. I mean, but they're alive, and I don't know, like, if their soul wanted that, or should it have been aborted? Like, I don't know. But in those instances, then sure, you know, I think that the woman has a right to decide her life or the baby's life, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, but because you're 25 years old and you've had sex with 63 guys this year and you've already had 14 abortions, should you have one more? No. Look, if I was voted in prime minister tomorrow, I wouldn't make abortion illegal. I honestly wouldn't. It wouldn't be worth the uproar. Mm-hmm. I mean, it would be, because every baby, we're trying to have mass immigration here. We're trying to bring in millions of people. How about we just don't have millions of fucking abortions? How about that? How about you just have the babies that you have instead of killing them all and then bringing in people from countries that hate you? Anyway, whatever. We're not on an immigration rant today.
Can I look at this
Yeah.
from the spiritual lens for a second?
Mm-hmm.
So that moment in the conception when the light comes in, have you seen this?
Yes.
When the moment of conception, a light comes in, that's the soul entering,
Yeah.
right? That's the soul entering to say, okay, I'm a life.
Well, it depends on who you're asking. Pro-life, yes. I would agree with you. But if you're asking someone who's anti, then they'll say that's not true.
Right. That's their argument, is that at
Yeah.
some point, like once the heart is beating or something, it's when it's alive. But
Well, they don't even believe that. They don't believe it's alive until it's born.
oh,
They don't believe that a fetus is a baby until it's born. Otherwise, how could you kill it? That's the argument. Like, you could look it up,
no, I remember hearing that's.
but a
Yeah.
lot of them would just say it's not a baby
It's not a baby until it's
until it's taken its
Outside
breath
of
and
you.
it's born. It's
It's
not a
born.
baby. Yeah.
right.
But we would believe that
It is alive.
there is a stage. Actually, can you look that up? It's when does the light
the soul
look something
enter.
like that?
Yeah.
No. Don't say the soul, because
Okay.
medically it won't. There's it is a known medical fact. So get to the medical fact. When does the light connect in the fetus or something during pregnancy? Something like that. But anyways, continue
Okay.
while she's looking it up.
So the spiritual journey is that light is the soul coming in.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I
Agreed, yeah.
believe. Anyways, when that happens, that soul's journey is whatever it should be, whatever that soul's chosen it to be. So if it is to be aborted, if it is to have deformities, if it is to come to life, if it is to miscarry, if it is just to live in the womb for a period of time, that's that soul's journey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, you say that, and we have these discussions all the time. This is one that triggers me. This is one that triggers me, and I can own that. And I'm starting to understand it more, but it does trigger me, because I'm always thinking, like, you know, nobody would ask for that. Like, nobody would want, you know, these terrible things. But that's not for me to say.
whoever aborted the baby, also that's their own journey that they have to experience,
Yeah.
right? And we have to go through adversities in order to build resilience and understand and learn. Doesn't mean we're going to live in perfect harmony with everything yet, because we have to kind of go through all these challenges in order for us to evolve and
Right.
ascend
Right.
in our own consciousness.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that the oh, did you find it?
There's actually a lot of about like when the soul enters the body in the Islamic.
Okay.
Where is it? According to Muslims, enters the fetus embryo around 120 days, 4 months after conception. That's what they.
That's
think.
not the light, though, because
That's like the soul.
yeah.
I think they're like
But
both.
did you see the light, though? The other one, the medical, because that
Yeah,
happens like when it's like days, like 8 days, 7 days.
There's a lot of like at the moment of conception. That's what most of it is. That's what it says. Yeah.
I believe that. Because how else is it created? Like there's a light coming through. There's a soul coming in.
Yeah, like it could be when the sperm digs its way in, and then there's like a couple of days it takes to do its thing in there, and then that might be it. But I just recall seeing a picture of like,
I remember seeing that
or
too.
the video of a very young, like days, like it's just so like not even. It looks like an alien, still with the big head and then and this very small body.
Are you talking later in?
No, it's in the first trimester, but it's very
okay.
early in the first trimester, and then there's the light that goes.
Yeah, no, I've seen that. That's
So I don't think it's sperm. I don't think it's sperm.
Conception, yeah.
I don't think it's conception. It has to be, but it's definitely in the first trimester. So maybe look up like first trimester light or something.
A lot of it is like how sensitive is the fetus to light. That's what a lot of it is. But like light as in like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, Jenny, what do you think about, while we're looking this up, what do you think about the male? Like how I was talking about what like.
Oh, the male's role?
Yeah.
Well, it takes two to make the act happen. And I guess the argument is that it's my body, it's my choice. On the one side, I'm just going to go by what my gut feels.
What does your gut feel?
I think the men should have a say. I think the men should have a say, whether or not the woman wants to keep it or not. I think the men should be able to have a say. That being said, everybody also has free will, and if a woman disagrees, she's going to make her own decision.
Right.
But that also leaves a lot of men, and this happens for a lot of men, in deep grief. In deep grief because they've lost their future child, or they've lost that opportunity, and so they have to grieve the loss of that life. And I think a lot of people don't consider that that's also part of the experience in this decision making, is that there's the other half involved that aren't represented in the mainstream conversation.
Yeah, I don't think that, I think that the mainstream likes to portray men as, I see it now. I see it really clearly now. I think that a lot of people think that men are pieces of shit because of how they get portrayed in media and movies and Instagram, social media, whatever. And so I saw this video. This is kind of what triggered me this morning into like saying, okay, we're finally going to do this episode, because it was this guy. I shared it on my Instagram story, so I don't know if you saw it, but it was like a young guy, and he's standing at the door of an abortion clinic, and he's screaming, "Please don't kill our baby. Please don't kill our baby." Like, he's got his head in the door, he's bawling, he's screaming. And then it shows him like sitting on the curb, and he's got his head down and he's crying. And from what the video, like, it's a brief video, so who really knows, but it seems like it's a guy who stepped into the life of a woman that has children, and he's raising her children from another man, and she's pregnant with his baby, this young guy's baby now, younger guy. And it seems like now she's gotten back together with the father of the children, and now has chosen to abort their baby, out of convenience for the situation. And he's saying, like, I've been such a good father to her children, and she's, letting this guy back into her life that is a terrible father and left them. And he's just distraught, and he's crying, and it's just something that nobody talks about.
Yeah.
Because I actually dated a guy who told me a very similar story, and this guy was a nice enough guy, just whatever. Obviously, I'm gay, so here we are. But that he always wanted a family, and he just never, like, he had long, like, I've known this guy for years, so he had girlfriends all throughout the years, but nothing that ever, like, long term, but whatever, never got married, and then met a girl later in life, like mid-30s. She got pregnant, and then, but didn't want to have it. And he was like, begged her to have the baby. He said, at the very least, if you don't want to be with me and you don't want to have the baby, let me have it. Have the baby.
Oh, wow.
You can sign off on it or not. You can see it. You can have it, whatever. Let me raise the baby.
Wow.
Let me take it. I want to be a father. This is all I've ever wanted. Like, don't do this to me. And she went behind his back and had the abortion without telling him.
Wow.
And that was like the moment that for me, like I was always against abortion, but I never considered the man, I don't think. That was the first time I ever considered the man.
Yeah.
And I was like in my mid-30s. Like how could I have never considered what the man might think before? Like it was crazy. And he was just so upset about it.
I think this is part of, again, the discussion that's being neglected. I mean, I was very liberal before and pro-abortion, women's rights, women's bodies, especially in the cases of incest, rape, medical issues, that kind of thing. But I also never understood how abortion works, how late term abortion works, and how they're killing after birth. And I also never really understood it from the man's perspective and the amount of grief. And as I worked in trauma recovery, now realizing how many women's stories are around their pain of going through an abortion, and how much healing, years, decades of healing it creates for them. Those are the bigger conversations that aren't being had, and it's continuing that division in the conversation. And this is why the discourse and even just us chatting about it today is so important for people to be able to have an open mind. And the more that I have shifted to become more conservative in my views and how I live, I have more moral compass guiding my decisions now. And because of that, I sit in contemplation with what feels right, what feels wrong, rather than parroting what I'm hearing.
Right.
And just saying what I've been told to say. Because I've done that. Done that through the news, through school, through my family.
Right.
But when I sit in my own sovereignty and I just think, I don't think that feels right.
No, I agree with that. When I see those girls on Instagram and they're screaming about abortion, like, kill the babies, you can't watch that and like ask yourself, does that seem morally right to you or morally wrong?
Or mentally ill.
And when you're and that's what like these women that are having, like, using abortion as birth control is so disgusting. Like, if you ever had an abortion, whatever, that's your deal. But I hope you never had more than one, because I feel like that should be a big fucking lesson. Right? Like, I mean, that should be a big lesson. If you're having 2 abortions, like, sorry if you're listening and you've had 2 or 3, but like, yo, what the fuck? You didn't learn the first time? Like, I'm going to tell you something then. Like, I wanted to have an abortion because I got pregnant on birth control and didn't want to have a baby. And anybody who knows me from my life knows that the last thing I ever would have thought was that I was going to have a baby. That's just not something that I ever want to have. So when I got pregnant while on birth control, it shocked me, and I was not prepared for it, and I didn't want to do it. And I was contemplating having an abortion, which for me, who was someone who was very, obviously that then you would know the position that I was in. Mm-hmm. So this is where I say, put your money where your mouth is. And I fucking put my money where my fucking mouth is. Because once first of all, I had to, I knew what abortion was. You're killing a baby. But I didn't know what abortion was. I never looked up the procedure. Look it up, people. I'm not going to get into too much about it because it's just too graphic, but because I don't know who's listening. But look it up if you're old enough to look it up. If you're not, I hope you're not listening because it's fucking gross. It's horrifying. And I just like, I had to sit with that and I was like, there's no fucking way that I could ever do that. There's just no way that I can do that.
Her soul definitely chose you. Her soul definitely chose you and needed to come through. And she's a little angel here in this world.
You know, I had a debate with a guy online one time, and he said he was arguing for abortion. This is like not too long ago. And I said, do you want to know? Well, actually, it was more like I told you about it. It was more, he was kind of nice, and it was like, he's a friend of a friend. It's not like a guy I don't know. But he's like an older gentleman, and he was like I had said something like, nobody wants to have an actual discussion. Like, no liberals want to discuss. They just want to yell. And he goes, I'll discuss. So we opened up a private chat, and we started chatting. And I just said, you know, why are you pro-abortion? And he asked me, you know, some questions. And I said, do you want to know what the results are of an unwanted pregnancy? And he said, okay. And I sent him our daughter's graduation picture. I said, that's the result. Plain and simple. That's the result. You know what he said? That was the end of it.
Nada.
Nothing. That's where the conversation ended. Why? Why does it end there? Like that's the truth. I mean, you can have no result. You can have the abortion and have the lifetime of scars and mental trauma and, you know.
But why no acknowledgement?
I don't know.
Is that dissonance?
It had to have been. Because it has to be like, fuck. And what do you, like, it had to have been.
Because that's not the story you hear either.
No.
That's not in the mainstream conversation either.
No.
Is that these, I mean, I have heard stories, though, of women not, struggling with abusive relationships, drugs, just struggling in life in so many different ways. And even if they get pregnant at a young age or later in life, that baby changed them. That baby changed their life for the better. Because now they had something to live for that taught them.
Yep.
So we don't hear those stories in the mainstream, and that's not part of the conversation. And that's why my guess is that's why he couldn't acknowledge it. Yeah. Because there is so much beauty that can come from that. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you, what about the trans women that are getting pregnant?
Okay. That's not even funny because there was a video that circulated like a few months ago of this sorry, let me rephrase that. There was a video that surfaced a few months ago about a horrifying looking creature that was a trans woman. You know what I'm talking about. And like kind of looked like the guy from the Beatles, John Lennon. Like so fucking creepy looking. But had like jet black hair and said, I want to be the first trans woman to have a womb transplant so I can be the first trans woman to have an abortion.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about fucking trans women having babies. They're fucking...
That is the most disturbing statement ever.
They're fucking psychopaths. That's a psychotic statement. No one that's not mentally ill that shouldn't be in an institution would say that. And you want these fucking freaks walking on the street with you and your kids. They're fucking freaks. Intersex, we've talked about it, not the same thing. If you're trans, you're fucking ill and you are not needing to be in public. You need to be locked up in the LPH. Bring back the LPH.
What's the LPH?
London Psychiatric Hospital. Bring it back. Bring back St. Thomas Psych. Bring them all back.
We watched a clip recently of a debate around abortion, and somebody in the audience yelled, what about the non-binary people? What about the... and the presenter was like, "What do you? There is no. It's men and women. Well, I'm non-binary and I have a what did she say? Or I don't. Anyway, she was yelling at the presenter because she identified as non-binary, and she wanted her to say people with a womb, and the presenter was just like, "There's men and women. Only a woman has a womb and can get pregnant. I don't know why we're having this discussion because that doesn't make any sense." This whole other conversation with was it trans women getting, I don't know. I find it so confusing even looking at videos or pictures of.
I think I don't know if you mean this, but trans men having babies.
Yeah.
Is fucking horrifying. It's disgusting. And this is the funny thing.
It goes against nature.
This is what I'm going to bring to light. Okay, so you're a trans man. So you don't want to be a woman anymore. So now you're a man. Yet you decide, after you've cut your breasts off and gone through all kinds of testosterone therapy and blah, 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 you have a beard now, you are a fat looking disgusting mess of a thing, no doubt. And now you decide that you're a trans man. Now you decide that you want to do the most female thing that you can possibly do and have a baby. Guys, and now that baby, that poor fucking soul that my beautiful wife is telling me asked for this, that wanted to be born into this fucking life. I don't know why, but it must be some fucking strong fucking creature if that's how it wants to be fucking raised and shit. But it chose it, according to her. So amen to that fucking baby. And and now you want to have this fucking baby. You don't have breasts. You've cut them off. So that was a fucking lose-lose. I don't know why you fucking did that. Now you have to pay for formula, retard. Like, that wasn't smart. You know how much that shit is? And it's not, hey, hate to break it to you in case you didn't know, fucking 50 years later, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's probably why every baby, people talk about vaccines. We can talk about vaccines, but we can also talk about breast milk and how after the 70s, nobody breastfed. Although me, and I'm perfect, I got breastfed. Very few women breastfed, but I don't have allergies and shit. Were you breastfed? Do you have allergies? There's a fucking connection, people. My brother, he didn't get breastfed. He doesn't look as good as me. So, hey, sorry.
There's
something
a whole
going
other
on, man. There's lots of things that we can talk about as far as that goes. But I'm just saying the whole thing about the babies being born anyway. I don't know. We're on a different topic now, but it's fucking gross. So it's disgusting, and I don't want to fucking see any more videos. Stop sending me videos of it, people. Even though I fucking, I love it secretly, but I hate it secretly because it's just so
it fires
gross.
You up. Oh my
it does.
gosh.
It does. It
it's
fires me up
it
so
goes against
much.
nature, and it's so hard on our brain to wrap
God.
our head around visuals of men having babies, even though they're actually women with testosterone in them.
But, right? But
like
can we just talk about the fact that you wanted to be a man, like you're not a woman, but you wanted to have a baby? Like, please tell me how that's not an illness.
It's alarming that there's a whole community that wants to normalize all of this, which actually goes against our own biology, our own chemistry, our ability to see with our eyes.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Is that like me saying, I don't identify as a person with two legs anymore, so cut one off, okay? So then you cut one off, but then I'm like, no, I changed my mind, I want a leg. So I want my leg back. So then I go back and have like a prosthetic leg put on, but then I demand that you
treat me like
a real legged person. Yeah, I get it. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's kind of a funny analogy. I followed that though, but yeah, okay.
I mean, it's kind of retarded. Like, think about it. It's really stupid. Like, you wanted that really bad. You really wanted to be a man. You really took that to heart. You really went like pretty far. I'm assuming you didn't get a dick sewn on because I don't know. You had a baby, so I'm assuming not. But it's just weird that you went to that length to be a man only to then do the most female thing you possibly could.
Yeah.
Like, just make that make sense. You can't be well.
That's so interesting. Isn't it funny, though, that there's the emoji now with the male holding
It's
the...
not funny. Because there's no family emoji. Look up the family emoji. There's no such thing as a family emoji anymore.
They took that
Look
out?
it up. Prove me wrong.
Oh, man.
Prove me wrong.
They've canceled so much.
You can't have the family emoji. There's not a man, a woman, and a child anymore. There's 2 dykes and a fucking baby, though. And there's 2 guys and a kid.
But there's no nuclear family?
No.
No traditional nuclear family.
At least not white ones.
Oh, it's just silhouettes of 2 adults and a child.
Yeah.
So, wow.
But look up like, well, I don't know. I'm sure that there's 2 guys, though. And 2 girls, because I've sent it.
Holy shit. This is crazy.
So.
Anyways, I guess if you take away anything from this, one is just to self-reflect to see what triggered you in this conversation.
2 is do your homework, okay? Because, like, Roe v. Wade, I don't even think people today still know what that was all about.
No.
People were all over me during that whole time, and people didn't even understand that the Supreme Court, all that the Supreme Court said was that we're leaving it up to the states.
Right.
We're not saying yes or no at anything. We don't think that the government should have that right to make that decision. We think it should be left up to the independent states.
Right.
People didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
They didn't take the time to read it. They were just retarded as usual and parrot what the TV tells them to say. So 2 is research. Like, research. Do you really think that a baby in the ninth month, 30 weeks, 32 weeks should be able to be aborted? Just do your research. That's crazy. And if you do, find another fucking podcast to listen to, because you're fucked. That's a fucked up thing to think, man. No. Let's do an analogy. I guarantee you right now that if I put a note online, if I did a thing on Instagram that said that my dog got pregnant and I didn't want my dog to get pregnant and I'm having a dog abortion, people would lose their minds.
Yeah.
People would lose their minds if I told them that
Or
I
if
was killing full-term puppy babies this week because I just don't have the room for them and I can't take care of them. And I can't be bothered to sell them. So I'm just going to kill them.
Wow.
I swear to God, if I did it for satire right now, people would lose their minds.
Yeah.
But when it's a
100%.
human baby, they don't care. And they only don't care because they don't know. Because they're brainwashed.
Well, and because there's so much conflict that people don't want to stir up more conflict or to challenge
Yeah.
what has been the mainstream narrative.
People don't want to believe that people are using it as methods of birth control, multiple abortions, multiple women. People don't want to believe that. People want to think that the only abortions that happen are a woman gets raped and that's really terrifying, and then she has an abortion a week later and it's a tiny little seed and it's all good. Or the baby's not viable and they have to abort it. That's what people want to think. Those are most people that are pro-abortion. That's what most of them think.
Which comes from moral compass, right?
Yeah. Most of them aren't thinking like, yes, I want you to be able to murder a very healthy, viable baby in the ninth month. Or, yes, I want you to use it as birth control and have for a year. People are not, I don't think people think that. I really don't.
Well, it's because it's not part of the discourse that you hear. You just hear pro or anti and the more extreme cases.
Yeah.
Like rape or incest or something like that. You don't hear all the information.
Did you hear Joe Biden say that in the do you remember that when he
What's
said
that?
when they said, what do you think about the abortion? And he said, oh, I don't even know, but maybe we'll put the quote in. But he basically said, women are getting raped by their in-laws
Oh yeah.
and by their brothers, and yeah, you should have an abortion. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, that was the most.
The only girl that's getting raped by her in-law is you fucking pedophile. He's the
Yeah.
only one not the only one, but he's one of the ones raping his fucking kids and in-laws.
Yeah, he's ew.
Blech.
Ugh.
Fucking creep. Are you looking up the quote?
Just add that in.
Yeah, just
at
add the
end.
clip in because God, it was funny.
Yeah,
It's just horrifying.
incoherent and a ramble, an incoherent ramble
Yeah.
that didn't answer the question. But he's
Anyway.
sharp, apparently.
Yeah, right? Sharp as a tack. Anyway, this was an interesting topic, and
Thanks for listening to the end if you made it this far.
yeah,
And it just speaks to how open-minded you are.
yeah. Peace out.
So thanks.